morning. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, and we are also syndicated on Abundant Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire. We will be making an announcement next week, so we are growing, and we're really proud of what's coming. And it's all because of you, because you are listening, you're telling your friends, and we definitely appreciate that. And also some awesome guests I have with like the couple who is with me right now, Chuck and Mary Lynn Bailey, and they're with alfairtax.org. Make sure you check out that website. Lots of great information there as well. Hello, guys. How are you doing?
Good morning. It's we're still wet here. It's still raining right now.
We are too. I think I'm going to build an ark. Do you guys want to help me?
Well, you need an arc around here now for every Friday night.
True, and there is a wonderful restaurant. Let me tell you guys about that. It's called the Ark. It's in Pell City, Alabama,
Oh,
and they have like the best fish, any kind of seafood you can absolutely ask for. They've got it. So I just wanted to kind of throw it out there for you since I mentioned the Ark. But we have a lot of new wonderful sponsors as well. So thank you to all of our sponsors. And again, because of the listeners and because of the awesome guests we have, we definitely appreciate that. So what's new in the world of fair tax?
well, what's new in the world of fair tax is that we're picking up. We've got this advisory board now, and we're picking up folks like Mike Huckabee is the chairman of it, and Stephen Moore, who is one of the guys that's been involved with the fair tax all along. Um, um, Economists from across the U.S., most everybody knows them. If they don't, I'll be surprised. And John Linder, the actual first author of the bill back in 1999, is on the board, and several more like that. Different economists and folks that have been working to get the fair tax passed at the national level. So that's kind of interesting, and a lot of news coming out that's going to support us going to a fair tax, like ain't going to have no Social Security, Medicare here in about 10 years. Wonder what we're going to do about that. Well, the fair tax would fix that in one swell foot. That's all I have to say. So, and the fact of the matter is, inflation's going to kill us if we don't do something about the taxes, and because inflation is a tax. Main thing is we've got this advisory board kicking off, and then in the long term, Mike Huckabee's going to do shorts on his Saturday evening show on TBN, talking about the fair tax. He's already done one, so that sort of thing is coming up in the near future, and a bunch of folks in the House actually forced our buddy Kevin, is it Kevin? McCarthy to do a vote on the fair tax either the end of this year or early next year. Yeah.
Oh, really?
To the floor for a vote. And what we the people have to do is make sure that it goes through a full hearing in the Ways and Means Committee. Otherwise, they'll just throw it out for a vote and it'll get voted down. Mm-hmm. So it needs to be some high level discussions on it in the Ways and Means Committee to start getting people to understand what the fair tax is all about and what it can do for this country.
The thing about that vote too is it probably, unless the Congress gets a lot of pressure from the people, it'll probably be voted down. However, we will see who's voting against it.
Right.
We will know
I want to know who that is.
Right.
Yeah. And we'll see if the House votes for it, if the Senate will even bring it up for a vote in the Senate. So those kinds of things will give us a lot of information to work with for the 2024 election cycle.
Oh, and by the way, Dale Strong is now online. He's a co-sponsor.
Dale Strong is
good.
Co-sponsor. Took him a while.
27th of March, he signed on the dotted line.
Oh, that's awesome news. Let's talk just for a few minutes about how this whole thing started.
Yeah, Dale Strong is the 5th District Congressperson from the state of Alabama, by the way. How all this got started?
Yeah.
Well, we had three major billionaires who met in a group, and toward the time that they started thinking about what needed to be done about taxes, they were having these little meetings, and they discussed all the ways they could avoid taxes and all that. And finally, one of the guys said, why don't we do something about this? So one of them put up $4 million. This is private money now. This is not the government. And started doing studies. And over the past 20 years, have done over $22 million worth of studies to actually define and clean up the fair tax. And so all that came out of those trying. What can we do to about this tax system to help people out, because we made ours. We don't need this tax cut business. We're covered, but a lot of people out there getting killed by this doggone income tax. So they came up with the fair tax.
And it is actually fair because everyone pays the same amount.
Right.
They're the same.
That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
That's
And
what I like.
no one below the poverty level pays a tax unless they don't want to be receiver of the prebate, which is what our more or less standard deduction is for the fair tax.
We have some questions for you guys, and
Okay.
Doug sent one in. I think it's a really, really good question. And this question was, how can we find out, first of all, I think you answered part of it, who is for and who is against fair tax? And you did touch on it, but how can we find out now so we can know who to call or who to thank who is actually for the fair tax?
You can go to congress.gov, and that opens up all the bills in the House as far back as recorded, and it's all at that one spot. And you type in at the top, you type in HR 25, hit the send button, and HR 25 will pop up, and then you can look down, and they have the 2023 bill there, and you can click on that, and that'll take you through a couple of steps to the co-sponsors, and there are 26 of them right now, and those are the people that say they're for it for sure. And then you've got to go find out for yourself for the rest of them, because we don't know. They don't campaign on it or anything, so you don't know who's for or against it outside the guys that are co-sponsoring it.
One other thing you can do is go to contactmypolitician.com. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
It is .com. And you can find out who all of your representatives are.
And the dog catch up to the president.
Exactly. And you can also send them emails. And you can find out, either ask them if they are co-sponsors of the bill and what they think of the bill, and excuse me, and then find out for yourself. And actually, if you do that, make sure your friends do it too, because we need all of the pressure we can get from the public.
Absolutely.
This is a bill that will not get passed. That will not get passed unless the public demands it, and it's going to take, the same kind of things that, any bill that gets passed. We need the public to get out there and let the politicians.
It's going to take boots on the ground. I mean, it's going to take some serious folks to make this happen. So another question that was asked was by Stan, and Stan wants to know who would be against it.
Politicians, lobbyists, and anybody that makes their money off the income tax. They'd like to say that they aren't that much against it, but H&R Blocks, TurboTax, those people, they would be the most against it. But all of their accountants and CPAs that are involved in that could go off and actually do work instead of messing around with people's income taxes.
Yeah, and I don't think that's as much a threat as it is. The politicians make money both ways on the income tax. They make money for giving special deals to companies,
Right.
and also favoring other companies. Yeah, and
Individuals
too. So the tax bill gets changed twice a day. The income tax bill gets changed that much, and it's purely for the lobbyists to make an awful lot of money doing it. Because
the 1986 law was Reagan's law, and it changed that whole mess to 3 different brackets, and got rid of a whole bunch of the regulations and everything it had to do with it. And now there have been over 20,000 changes to that bill since 1986. Every time, and Tax Cut and Jobs Act in 17 was another one of those bunch of changes that they made to the overall system, and that's the reason why it's so convoluted and corrupt and needs to be. It's insidious, is what it is. It needs to be gotten rid of.
Now, how would you be able to fight the machine? Because this is a big machine. Would love to see it as it is, and not go into fair tax.
The only way you'd be able to fight is to get enough people to actually put boots on the ground and start getting out there and demanding it from their different congresspersons. And I'm not talking about, you don't have to go to the street or anything like that. You just need to pick up that phone and call your representatives and your senators and tell them, you'd better do this or you're in trouble. I got a whole bunch of friends and we're starting a movement to put you out of office next time around. So you got to get tough with those guys or they won't do anything.
Well, another way I found is fax. Send a fax. And hardly anybody's doing that anymore, but I do know the state of Alabama does, and that's an annoying little ring that when a fax machine goes off, it's very annoying. Yeah. So if you'll send a fax to whoever you're find the person. Who would they need to send the fax to, by the way, Chuck, Mary?
You have to go online to the different organizations. Like you can go to I think it's Allison, but I always go there, Alabama Legislature, and you'll work your way into there, and you can go to the House of Representatives and you find the members, and then you can go into each one of them separate little blurb on them, and they'll have those numbers in there.
Or you can go to Contact My Politician.
Yeah.
We don't have anything. We're not invested in that, but it's very easy. All you do is type in your name, address, and that's it. And your zip code is the main thing, and it will tell you who all of your representatives are, because most people have no idea who their representatives are.
Well, I'm going to challenge everybody. Do the fax thing. Just try it. And I'll tell you, if they hear enough, the people who work in the office, if they hear that going off enough, they're going to send it to the proper person, because I'm telling you, it's almost like fingernails on a blackboard. It's so annoying. And that would be a great way to get their attention. We have to go into a commercial break. Can you believe half the show is already? Let's go into a commercial break. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Everybody hang tight.
Okay.
The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park, and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors, and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018. Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know, because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. Good afternoon. We are back. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I am your host of The Edge on IC Radio. In Christ Radio, we are your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, and Abundant Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. We will have a special announcement to make sometime next week, and I'm just tickled to death about it. And I can't wait to tell you all about it. We're growing, and we definitely appreciate the way, and I'll mention to you guys the way it happened a little bit later on. But anyway, we're so happy to have Chuck and Mary Lynn Bailey with us. They are with alfairtax.org. Go ahead and look it up. And whatever state you're in, by the way, you know how competitive we are in Alabama. Is somebody getting ahead of us in one of the other 49 states?
Yeah. What was the question again?
Well, there's not a lot of momentum in the state right now. The legislature, they have a big pot of money that they're trying to get dispersed. And personally, I don't think they're doing a very good job of it. But, you know, it is what it is. Let's
just use that as an example. Our legislators are down, and guys that are supposedly our friends are down there doing this dumb remove the grocery tax from groceries. Yeah. And all that does is it causes a trough that has to be filled up by other taxes, which means that the person they're trying to help is going to be paying more taxes on other stuff they have to buy. And there was a tax foundation study done on that, on doing that, just removing the tax. Mm-hmm. And it says on average, there's a 9% increase in cost of goods to people that live in these states where they go and do the removal of grocery tax. And I don't know if they've thought about it or not, but what happens? I'm going to remove the grocery tax. I'm a great guy for that. Yeah, well, just look at all the bureaucracy you just started up to determine, number one, what's a grocery? Number two, how do you regulate it? Number three, how many more people have I got to hire on to go to each grocery store and make sure that they're not letting people get off the tax on other things besides groceries? And it's just a big mess, and we've lived through it once before, so we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, the cranberry juice.
The cranberry juice story.
Example. Yeah, our daughter needed cranberry juice, and I went to when we lived in Ohio, and they did not have a grocery tax at the time. I'm not sure what it is now, but I bought a gallon of cranberry juice and went through the line, and I looked at my receipt, and I had been taxed on the cranberry juice. And I said, well, hey, wait a minute, these are groceries, And they said, oh no, there's 20% sugar in cranberry juice, so you have to pay a tax on it. So they will use that as a tool for social engineering too. Yeah. But the thing about the fair tax is, you can buy a single person can buy $1,000 worth of groceries.
$1,215 this year.
Yeah, worth of groceries each month with no taxes. So this is a much better way to do it. And you
Oh, that was another thing that the study said is there was one state, and I forget who it was, and they went through all this and they decided, no, we're just going to give everybody a $75 a month credit to pay the taxes on groceries, and and guess what? That's about what the prebate is on that $1,215 that we're
Mhm.
talking about for our bill in Alabama, the Alabama Economic Freedom Act.
Mhm.
But at any rate, what Mary Lynn's story boiled down to was the sugar lobby saw, wait a minute, they're going to take tax off. I get subsidies from those guys. They can't do that. They got to get those subsidies so they can give me that free money that I get for being a sugar company. So that's what that's all about. You got all these different people involved, and that thing will be so full of holes in a couple of years, it'll be pitiful.
Yeah, it's. Remember, Bloomberg wanted to do away with the big
Big gulp.
drinks. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
they would probably say, well, potato chips and corn chips are not good for you, so we're going to tax those. It's an insidious thing when they take taxes away. It's always favoring somebody. The fair tax it does not pick winners and losers at all.
Mhm.
Every person determines what tax they pay and when they pay it.
Mhm.
And
So,
the thing that people have to realize and remember, the income tax goes away. And in the state of Alabama, the income tax and the current sales tax system goes away, and it's replaced with a single rate consumption tax
Mhm.
only on new goods and services that you buy for personal use at retail. That's you buy a sack of groceries, you pay the tax on that, and you're done with your tax till you buy something new. But oh, by the way, my rebate during the month offsets the taxes on those groceries that I bought.
and labor participation is down, so there's less of the income tax, which is going to have to be made up in
Right.
another way. So,
Mhm.
This is the only way you can do it. You have to have everybody paying the same amount of tax, meaning everybody, illegals, people visiting here from overseas. Everybody's got to pay this tax, or it won't work.
Oh, and I really love this idea that prostitutes and drug dealers are going to be paying
Yeah.
tax for a
Don't forget
change.
their pimps, and don't forget the
That's
gamblers.
I love that idea. I really do. Now, another question that was asked by, and I'm looking at my notes because a lot of the questions are the same question, but
Yeah.
Clyde asked a good question. And this is there any way that that percentage would actually go up?
If the percentage goes up, everybody's going to know about it, and everybody will be complaining. Right now, yeah, I can increase like they're doing. I can decrease taxes on groceries supposedly, and and most people won't even see that. But everybody will see this tax increase. And by the way, the the prebate is defined by the Health and Human Services poverty guidelines, and if that poverty guideline goes up every year like it's been doing, and it did this year, this prebate gets increased because you're taking the amount of tax that the single rate consumption tax and multiplying it times the poverty level to determine your amount of tax on that on the poverty level, and then divide that by 12, and you have your monthly rebate, and that's going to go up every time the tax the guidelines go up. Is what I'm trying to
yeah,
say.
the fair tax is a consumption tax, but just imagine if the sales tax goes up in your city or your county, you'll know it,
Yeah.
and you can certainly vocalize
Yeah.
your either ascent or descent on that.
In most places, you can't raise a tax like that unless it's voted on. So
Right. Richard had a question for you, and this is about our national debt. And so he said, could you give a guesstimate? He sees it, he sees this happening. He said, would you have a guesstimate on how long it would take to pay down the national debt? Or would
I
this
don't
help at
know.
all?
I don't know what that would be, but what would happen? Number one, the number of corporations that are supposedly getting taxed right now is zero, and the number of 5 million. So you get rid of all the and you get rid of the IRS, so all that money goes away. In the long term, you're going to get rid of about 90% of what's spent on collecting the income tax now, and secondly, you're going to get rid of about 90% of the evasion, and that's people just flat out not paying taxes and getting away with it. That's about
Yeah.
$1 trillion a year now, and we waste time on these forms and everything, and that's been calculated out to be right around 500 billion. So there's a $1.5 trillion right there that's going to go back into the economy, and it's going to get rid of that so-called deficit.
Well, Phil and I have always run our businesses basically by cash only. I mean, only, I'm not saying cash, I'm just saying that's not how we pay, but we don't like to borrow. I mean, it was pounded into both our skulls from our grandparents is you don't buy what you can't afford. And the way the government is being run is just, you can't be in business if you run a regular
No.
business that way. It just won't work.
If the government was a business, they would all be fired.
I would fire them. I'm telling you. And we can fire people. We have an election coming up. We need to start digging right now. It's not too early. We need to do it right now. And the people we feel are not going to serve us, the people that are going to overspend, you can get a pretty good idea with these people.
And we the people have got to get off our couches right now and start finding out who we want to be in the next time. Find people that are for the fair tax, find people that are for things that you're for, and get behind them and send money to them directly if you feel like you should do that. Don't send it to these fundraising things you get in the email all the time. That's a waste of your time and your money. Send it directly to your candidate and work that way, and pretty soon you'd start seeing a lot of this stuff turn around.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I get text messages every single day, emails, whatever. I don't think they're Trump. I really don't. They claim.
No, they aren't.
And it's people.
You got to look down. You got to look down at the bottom and see who's sending them out, and that's who's making the money off of it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, because people. I know you're going to find this as a shock, but people will lie and they'll cheat. I'm shocked. I really am. About 2 minutes left in this segment. What do you guys want to make sure people?
Well, first of all, the Alabama fair tax is called the Alabama Economic Freedom Act. It has not been presented yet. We have to get some support at the state level from our representatives.
We need sponsoring both the House and Senate.
Right. And that's alfairtax.org. And if you want to find out more about the national fair tax, you can go to fairtax.org. It's very simple. But you can find out. And actually, we have information about the fair tax on our website, too.
Absolutely. One more question real quick. I don't know if you can answer this in less than a minute or not. But I think the first state who does this, they're going to be the one getting all the new businesses coming in. Corporations will be coming in, whatever. How close is Alabama to being the first one to make this happen?
We're so close. We just need people to get involved with it and get their legislators to get on the stick and actually do it. The bill's already written. We have the foundational rate study done, so we know what the rate's got to be. All that stuff just needs to be updated a little bit, and we're talking about a few $1,000s to do that and get the people behind it. We've got to get the people behind it or it won't happen. So that's what's got to happen.
Yeah. Absolutely. Guys, we're going to have to go. Thank you so much for being on the show today. It's been awesome.
Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
We'll be seeing you guys in just about 2 more weeks.
Right. Yeah. We'll talk about some good stuff.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for watching The Edge on IC Radio. You are very special. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications. You can also find us nationally syndicated on Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. You take care. Bye, Chuck and Mary Lynn Bailey.
Bye.
Bye.